Hello everyone and welcome to another video tutorial. Today we have an exceptional figure, carved by Stavros Zouliatis. Stavros is a Greek artist and you can find more info about him and his figures following the links down on the description. This diorama consists of two walls, a floor, the figure and a cauldron. Everything but the floor is covered with black primer. Since the floor is supposed to be wooden, I applied leather brown primer. I will dry brush the stone wall with cold grey. Then we will apply a pretty good quantity of black wash. Likewise, we will dry brush the floor with Charred Brown, and after that we will use enough amber shade. I used Dark Fleshtone on the curtain rail and on the rest of the wooden part as well. Then with light brown I painted the graphical broom. Don't underestimate it, it's magical. Now with dry brush and wolf grey we will awaken these stone walls. We will use mahogany as a primary color on the curtains. We will highlight the wooden parts with earth. On the curtains we will create the highlights with Gory Red at first and then with Bloody Red. I painted the thick rope that is around the curtains with Hexenlichen and used alien purple to highlight it. The broom scrambles are painted with amber shade. The metal parts and the beams are painted with gunmetal. The sack is painted with Russian green and highlighted with interior green. I painted the rope of the sack with a black and then with cold grey the highlights. I used rust for the mirror's frame and for the mirror itself I used silver. I used Radon Tan for the pages of the books and I painted their covers with armor green and mahogany. To make the pages look more realistic, I applied flesh wash. Finally, the chain was painted with Chainmal Silver. It's time to paint the fire in the fireplace. Because it's very hard to use light colors on the black primer, we will apply white primer on the flames before we begin. We start building up the colors of the fire, starting from the light ones to the darker ones. The lighter colors cover a bigger surface, and as we go to the darker ones, they will cover the tip of the flames. For the fire, I used moon yellow, orange fire, bloody red, and scarlet red. The fire that is around the cauldron is painted with the same process as well. Now it's time for the OSL effect. With dead white, we will spray gently around the flame to create the effect of the light that comes from the fire. We will do the same effect on the floor because the fire lights the floor too. I will connect the walls to the floor using epoxy glue, which gives me a lot of time to put the pieces together correctly. Moreover, epoxy glue is a really strong one, which is really sufficient for figures and dioramas that are going to be transferred to different places and will not just be stored on a shelf. After the glue was dried, we continue with our effect. Again, we begin from the lighter colors to the darker ones, and from the inner parts to the outer ones. Sun yellow, orange fire, hot orange. I will paint the cauldron with rust and then I will apply black wash. We must create the effect of the light on the cauldron as well, so we will use a bit of moon yellow on the bottom of the cauldron. For the potion in the cauldron, I used 3 to 4 drops of realistic water and a drop of bloody red. Unfortunately, realistic water needs 6 to 8 hours to dry sufficiently. And now it's time for our little witch. I painted her cloak with interior green. After that, with dark green and goblin green, I made different patches on the cloak. Now I will apply black wash mixed with green wash 1-to-1 mix. After it dries well, we will dry brush the whole cloak with dead flesh and with gold grey the front part of it. Then we will apply black wash on the whole figure and we will proceed to carefully create the highlights using Stonewall Grey. For the face, we will use a palette of 3 colors: Elfic Flesh, blue-violet and black-grey. We will mix Elfic Flesh with blue-violet and blue-violet with black-grey. That way on our palette we will have all the shades of the colors we need for base color, as well as the colors from the shadows and the highlights. We begin applying a medium shade on the whole face, and that will be a tone of blue-violet. Then we create the shadows with blue-violet mixed with dark grey. And the highlights will create it with the shade of blue-violet mixed with Elfic Flesh. Her eyes will be painted with dead white, but we will do that only on the corners. In the middle we will leave her eyes blank. That's all for today. This was the Witch House diorama carved by Stavros Zouliatis. I hope you like it. if you want to find this figure or any other of Stavros figures, you can take a look on the link down in the description. As always, you can comment, like and subscribe, and I hope to see you again in the next video. Bye!